Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass podcast. This for UFC Mexico City. This episode of the Dogger Pass podcast and all episodes of the Dogger Pass podcast are brought to you by CoolBet. Use promo code DOG-OR-PASS when making a new account to get a match up to $200 on your first deposit. Cody, did you know that Mexico City is at 10,000 feet altitude?
That's the conversation today, Paul. Which of these guys is going to completely gas on us? Understandably so. It's, a mile high, more than a mile high. But yeah, altitude is the name of the game this week.
I'm sure we're the only podcast that will bring that up. But yeah, there's always going to be fights that you're like questioning whether it's going to work out, and cardio is king, especially at altitude. But no rest for the wicked. Let's get right into the main event. Hell of a main event. Brandon Moreno taking on Steve Erceg, minus 240 for Moreno. Erceg could be had for plus 205. It's kind of crazy. If this was like right after the Pantoja fight, this line's a lot closer, right? Because Erceg lost to the champ, but it's like he basically had it in his hands, and then made a bit of a bonehead decision in round 5, gives up the last round, which causes him the title. After that, fights Kai Kara-France, the hardest hitter, frankly, at 125 pounds, and gets his head knocked off. Now he's a 2-1 dog, flyweight division. I mean, all things being equal, it's like you go through like the stats for these guys, and it's just like everything looks like real equal. The one big differentiator, I suppose, is probably Moreno maybe could get a little bit wrestling, but I mean, the number one differentiator, I think, has to be durability. Brandon Moreno has a brick for a head, and Erceg, I suppose, doesn't, because Kai Kara-France, the hardest hitter in
No,
the
one
division,
guy, yeah.
because he knocked his head off. That's why I'm being facetious a little bit. You can't really see the face I was giving.
I do now.
I think it's a dogger pass type of situation. Like, I know we're in Mexico City. I know, altitude. I know the crowd's going to be on his side. We were in London last week. Mick Parkin, hometown favorite, or at least English favorite. He loses close decision. Jai Herbert. They bring the same judges everywhere at this point, so nothing really changes from that perspective, especially when you're dealing with the main event fights, because those are going to be your Sal D'Amato's. They're horrible judges, so it's like whatever. But it's not going to be some sort of like regional bias on the scorecards. I think, flyweight fight, all the stats look incredibly close in terms of strikes landed, strikes absorbed, everything like that. Give me Erceg plus 205. Haven't bet it, but that's how I would bet the main event. What about you?
Yeah, like I expect it to be a close flyweight fight. They always are. But I feel like Moreno in Mexico maybe just edges it out, especially if it's close, which I expect it to be. It goes to the scorecards. Mexicans got to be, more favorable to their guys than the British crowd. But you're right. It's not even Mexican judges. It's the same old guys that they prayed time and time again. Anytime you can get plus money on a flyweight, you're down. So an Erceg seems very tempting. And just to show you how unpredictable this division is, this is his path to a UFC title for Steve Erceg. He beats David Dvorak at 135 in his debut in a close fight. He beats Alessandro Costa, which is a career best win for him. And then he beats Matt Schnell. And just like that, he gets a UFC title fight against Pantoja. And he almost wins the title fight, Paul.
Yeah.
No resume to him. Now, he's a big guy for this division. By big guy, he's only 5'8", but for 125 pounds, like, he does have that big stature. How he makes this weight class, not entirely sure, but that is his advantage. He looks like Steve Carell, but he sure as hell don't fight like him. He's a brick of a man, comes forward, he lands solid shots. I would say he's not necessarily hard to take down. You saw Pantoja take him down 9 times, but Pantoja has world-class jiu-jitsu, and he struggled mightily to hold him down. So when you're that big and you have strong hips, it's like you can create a little bit of space and work your way back up. I don't think Moreno can take him down and lay on top of him, as much as I think that, as you mentioned, the striking, it's pretty close. It's pretty similar. It's going to be back and forth, and then I need Brandon Moreno to make some takedowns and solidify the deal. When you look at his little last three fights, let's say he fights Alexander Pantoja, it's a split decision loss. I don't think that he won that fight. I don't know how a judge came to the conclusion that Moreno won that fight, but at least it's still a close enough, competitive enough fight with the champ. It's that second fight versus Brandon Royval. He wins the first two rounds, and then three, four, and five, he just gets, figured out a little bit. Royval's taller than him, stands upright, also 5'8", and just throws a ton of volume. Erceg's got less volume than Royval, therefore I think the striking will largely be maintained close, and then a couple takedowns thrown in the mix, hopefully get it over for Moreno. Moreno's 31. It's not old by flyweight, but you're starting to get there. Erceg's 29. He's probably still getting better every time out. I don't think that you can have any real sense of confidence in a flyweight five-rounder in Mexico City. But Moreno's fought in Mexico City before. He is the hometown guy, so to speak, in that they should be behind him. He's got the much better resume. And I do feel like mixing in some takedowns here and there will be the path of victory for him. So I got Moreno. But because of the value, because of the odds, I agree with all that stuff. Close fight. I don't know how invested I'll be in it. It's a UFC main event. I'm going to have action on it. But how much confidence can you have? Yeah, that remains to be determined.
All right, co-main event. I don't know if you're gonna have too much confidence in this one. We got Manuel Torres taking on Drew Dober. Torres was the favorite when I first made the graphic, but he's flipped to the dog. He's plus 101. Dober can be had for minus 120. First things, I mean, I know you're like the over, you're an
No,
over
this thing's not going
you're an
over.
over apologist. I
Not
know you
this
always like
one.
your over 1.5s and stuff,
Yeah.
Cody, even though it's plus money. I'm begging you.
Mm.
I'm begging you not to touch this one with a 10-foot pole. Under 1.5 is like minus 185. And I think that's probably the more sound way to approach this fight. I mean, you go through Manuel Torres's last fight, one, two, three, four,
17 of his 18 pro
six,
fights in the
seven,
first.
8. That one's not listed. 9, 10. Last 10 that are officially listed have finished in the first round. Drew Dober, brick for a head. We used to always talk about his durability being insane. And against John Silva, it did hold up. It had to do more with a cut in round 3 than the actual damage. He's still eating some big shots. John Silva's an absolute savage. If you but a gun to my head, I'll take Torres. Do I plan on betting a side in this fight? I don't. But the under 1.5 seems like good parlay fodder to me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to take Drew Dober because we're going to talk a lot on this card about how the judges in a close fight might give it to the Mexican guy. This thing's not going to the judges, so I don't got to worry about it. I think Drew Dober stiffs him. Someone's getting stiffed regardless. Paul's not wrong. I mean, you look at Manuel Torres' 18 career fights, 17 of them have ended inside the first round. When he wins, he's going to finish you in the first round. When he loses, that's likely what's going to happen as well. Of his 3 losses, he's actually been submitted twice in the first round, and then knocked out in his most recent against Ignacio Bahamondes. So I don't think Drew Dober is going to sub him by any stretch of the imagination, as much as something's going to go down one way or another. If this was Drew Dober a few years ago, could still really take that level of damage, then yeah, this is a classic Drew Dober performance, where similar to the Terrence McKinney fight or the Brad Riddell fight, like he can take damage, get back up, and then put it on you. He lost the Riddell fight, I suppose, late, but all the same, the McKinney fight's probably a better example. He comes off the canvas, he gets his own offensive going. Since he's been knocked out a few times, since he's been starting to maybe slow down, he's 36 years old. He's had a lot of damage. The chin has now officially been cracked. He's coming off a loss to Jean Silva that he didn't get KO'd in. It's a cut stoppage. But, a few fights prior to that, when he got knocked out, probably most notably by Matt Frovola, it was like, okay, the legendary chin has finally met its match. Someone's getting knocked down this one. This is what I would propose to you, though, right? One, Drew Dober, career guy that's trained at altitude. So not that this thing's going to last all that long, but he is one of the guys that I do think will have good cardio. For as long as this thing lasts, he should be fine. But with Manuel Torres, you know what? He smashed a lot of guys in the first round. Comes to the UFC, beats Frank Camacho, looks good, beats Nicholas Mata. That's one of the nastiest elbow KOs you are ever going to see in your life. It's the third fight with Duncan, right? Duncan rocks him with a two-piece combination right in the beginning. Like he stiffens up. When this guy throws, he overextends. He stands very tall, very upright, marches forward, and he's there to get hit all day long. Now, Duncan hits him. The takedowns don't materialize. It's like Duncan slips on a kick. This guy jumps on his back. He ends up getting the rear naked choke out of it. It's a wily performance. aged really good because Chris Duncan's looked pretty good since then. But it's like, yo, he's there to get hit. So then the Ignacio Bahamondes fight, it's a double knockdown. He gets knocked down, gets back up. A little bit later, he gets absolutely KO'd. But it's a push and pull both times. Now, Ignacio's really tall. So what he does is he lures you into the pocket. He steps out of the pocket. You miss with your punch, and he counters with the right hand. He hits him with it both times, the second of which just absolutely KOs him. When you look at Drew Dober, he's a much better, much more refined striker. He's not nearly as tall as Ignacio. So being able to pull out of the pocket and counter is going to be a little more difficult. But he's very, very clean. Paul mentioned the fight with Jean Silva. You look at it, he hurts Silva to the body a bunch of times. It's actually a really good fight. Numbers wise, very competitive. You watch the fight, very competitive. The difference is that Silva lands a flying knee like a minute into the fight. That cut opens a minute into the fight. And then the next 11 minutes of the fight is blood everywhere until finally they stop it. But I mean, skill wise, technique wise, striking wise, he's holding his own with a guy that's breaking into it to be a legitimate contender. He only fights top guys. When you look at who are Jean Silva, Hanato Moicano, Bobby Green, Terrence McKinney, Brad Riddell, Islam Makhachev, Alexander Hernandez, Nasrat Hakparas, Benil Dariush. These are all guys that are tenured veterans, some of which have gotten to the top echelon of the sport. When you look at Manuel Torres, it's pretty salty, truth be told. Duncan wins aging well, but he might be a one-trick pony. I need to finish you in the first round or I'm done. Whereas Dober, there's a lot more versatility to him, a lot more experience to him. If we're going chin for chin, give me a half-cracked Drew Dober chin over Emmanuel Torres chin. Don't got to worry about the judging because it ain't going to the judges. And I don't really got to worry about it being at altitude because Drew Dober trains at altitude and has for a very long time. So 50-50 fight. Yeah, I can see why. But I'll take Drew Dober.
That's fair. I'm not going to argue with anybody if they take a certain side in that fight.
Violence is the only side.
Violence is the only guarantee when
Yeah.
Manuel. I mean, what a fight! I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. But
I always complain about the position. Why is this fight here? Why is that a prelim? Why is that not in the main card? But this one, they're like, listen, guys, we got a flyweight main event. So it could go 25. It's like, okay, let's put the co-main event, guaranteed banger, right? Give the fans what they want, and then give the hardcore fans what they want. So
I mean, I'm looking
I'm
forward to
down.
the main event as well. I mean,
Yeah,
of
flyweights. I
course,
love
you
it.
are as
But
well.
people, you know how it is. Flyweights
I
the
know how
least popular
the
division.
casual mind is just like, oh, I could beat this guy up. It's just like Steve Erceg would whoop your ass. Like it wouldn't even be competitive, bro. Like I don't care if you're 6'4", like it'd be over. Unless you're like unless you're like a semi-pro fighter or something like that. Like our boy Tyler Gates in the Discord. He'd
Billy
be
Gates is also 6'5",
yeah, exactly.
265
6'5",
sports football
265 pounds.
player.
It's like
Yeah, he's the
nicest
man.
guy, nicest
He's
guy
probably
ever.
knocking Steve Erceg out. But
He's
again, it's
got
like
he would
Erceg's
literally like
trained
the
at it.
Hulk like smash
Right.
Erceg around. But like
Right.
outside of that, I don't know many people who would beat up a UFC flyweight. So if you disagree, write that in the comments. You'd be like, I could take it, and be like, yeah, prove it. Uh, highly doubt it. All right, we got Joe Pyfer taking on Kelvin Gastelum. Joe Pyfer, minus 300 favorite. Gastelum can be had for plus 240. Where are you at on this one, Code?
I want to fade Joe Pyfer. I really want to fade Joe Pyfer. It's just like the more I think about it and the more I break it down, it's like, yeah, he probably still can beat Kelvin Gastelum, which is a jab from the outside. Kelvin, not really a middleweight. We talk about it all the time. He's short. He's fought the best middleweights. He's fought all of them. But again, it's like he does struggle at this division because his opponents are usually so much bigger than him. Here's the thing, right? Is that I faded Joe Pyfer in his loss against Jack Hermanson on the
Same.
basis that it was a 5 round fight, and I don't think this guy's cardio is really all that good. He's inexperienced. No doubt there's talent to him, but he's inexperienced. Wrestled 1 year of high school, which was his senior year. Never wrestled in college. Jiu-jitsu's a work in progress. He is athletic. He's got decent boxing, but there's no real big X factor to him, and he lacks experience, especially 5 round experience. Whereas Hermanson, he's fought all the best guys, and he's oftentimes fought 5 rounds. So that felt like a great opportunity to fade a minus 270 Joe Pyfer, and it came through.
Yep.
Now, since then, he goes back to doing what he does. He goes out and he knocks out Marc-Andre Barrio. His other wins, Abdul Azak Al Hassan, Gerald Mearshart, Alan Amandovsky. None of those guys have been ranked other than Gerald Mearshart, which was ranked as a fringe 15 guy very briefly. So again, he lacks high level experience, but he's able to smoke out these guys that are, low level, so to speak. This is not a 5 round fight, but it is at altitude. And Joe Pyfer very much to me is one of these guys that if you can put heavy pressure on him, he goes slow. 100% he's going to slow. Now, KG, he's getting a little bit older and he ain't what he used to be, but he's actually fought in Mexico City twice. Not that they went late, but he beat Joe Ellenberger back in the day. Sorry, Jake Ellenberger knocked him out in the first round, and then Nate Marquardt quit on his stool after two. But he's been down there. He's fought in Mexico 6 times in his career, but twice specifically in Mexico City. And beyond that, I just fought again, he's fought all the best guys. So he's been in there with much better guys than Pyfer. He's never been knocked out. He's been submitted 3 times in his career, but he has never been knocked out. Cast iron chin. Cardio's never really been a problem. At
No,
185, he's not cutting that much weight, so he can really push a pace on guys. And even in some of these fights where he's losing, he's pushing a pace. That last fight with Daniel Rodriguez, yeah, I didn't think it was the prettiest fight going, but he's mixing in these takedowns. He gets like 3 of them in total. Doesn't have a whole lot of top control, top pressure, but it's a fight. He loses to Brady at 170, comes back to 185, beats Rodriguez. It's high volume. He lands like 120 significant strikes. He mixes in wrestling. He's fought at a higher level. Like the Pyfer 550. It's not that I don't think Pyfer can win the fight. It's Pyfer minus 550. Does he win
no,
that
he's minus
off?
300.
Oh,
That
okay.
market moved really hard. People, about 4 days ago. It kind of looks like market manipulation, to be honest. So it opened up at basically where it is right now. It opened up, and then it got bet up to like Kelvin Gastelum was plus 400, and it
He
sat there
was.
for like 5 days up there, to be perfectly
That's what
honest.
I thought it was still
And
at.
then like 4 days ago, it went from minus four, or sorry, plus 400 all the way down to plus 215, and then now it's kind of finding its level here. So I don't know
Okay, so
what
at least
we
they agree that Pyfer
that
shouldn't be
five
minus
day window is
550.
when we should have bet Kelvin Gastelum. I think at plus 400. It's a little bit less enticing now. Size is definitely going to matter. But Piper hasn't really shown that great of offensive wrestling. If it turns into a striking affair, like Kelvin's always the smaller guy at 185 pounds. I still lean towards Kelvin Gastelum here. I just don't know if I'm actually gonna, put money to put money to my mouth on such a prediction. Probably a fight I'm more interested in from a live betting perspective because I expect Pyfer to probably do well early in this fight. I know, the altitude and all that type of stuff. It's just like I know I can get 3 rounds out of Kelvin, and if it goes really bad in round one, I either A, get to the final bell and then be able to get Kelvin at a better price. If he wins round one, well, I assume he's probably going to do even better in rounds two and three. So it's like even if he's like a slight favorite after round one, I think that would be a good situation too. So it's a fight that I'm more interested from a live betting perspective, but dog or pass for me. I'm not laying chalk on Pyfer.
Yeah, that's what I'm having troubles doing myself. Like I think Pyfer could offensively take Kelvin Gastelum down. Kelvin Gastelum's wrestling's not bad when he's shooting takedowns. Defensively, Kelvin Gastelum's getting taken down by all these bigger guys. Like Sean Brady's a better wrestler, he's a bigger guy. And Jack Hermance, I guess Hermance didn't really take him down, just heel hooked him. But yeah, I guess that Chris Weidman fight back in the day takes him down, submits him with the arm triangle choke. It's like if you can big brother him, then great. But at altitude again, it's like can you big brother him for the first round, and then all of a sudden the second round is very tight and competitive, and then the third round you lose. Like the longer that fight with Hermanson went, you really saw he has no plan B. There's no backup.
No.
He hasn't faced it enough times. Last thing I'll leave you with this is the list of Kelvin Gastelum's canceled fights within the last 3 years. Okay. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Nasruddin Imavov twice, Dricus Du Plessis, Robert Whitaker, and 2 fights with Anderson Silva. If you want to go way back in the day, Donald Cerrone and Jorge Masvidal. They never booked this guy in easy fights. Either he fights the guy, it's Jared Cannonier, or it's Israel Adesanya, or it's, Darren Till, or it's Robert Whitaker. And when the fights aren't materializing, they're Dricus Du Plessis and Nasruddin Imavov. So again, I just feel like he's been operating at this level a lot more, and there's so much dog money. I don't want to regret it, but for me, it's either a Pyfer bet or it's a Kelvin Gastelum PRP pick. You're not wrong in your assessment to chase a little plus value, and Kelvin largely does fight for your dollar, right? He doesn't not much of a quitter. He was 2-2 with Izzy going into the fifth round. Like, there's a lot of great qualities about him, but he's getting a little older, and
He's
you
only
know what?
33 still, though.
Yeah, I feel
He's
like
just
gun to
been
my
around
head, I
since he was
should
a
take
baby.
Kelvin.
That's why he feels like he's been around forever. But he was so young when he first broke into the UFC.
Yeah, he was a bondsman, and then ended up getting on the Ultimate Fighter and beat Uriah Hall, where like he was a huge underdog. Hall was
Yep.
like making highlight reels that are still being used to this day, just deading people. And Kelvin, punched above his weight class in that one, won at 185 pounds, and he's largely done that since. So, if it's getting near his swan song, you expect a few more solid outings out of him. The fact that he struggled a lot against Rodriguez's length the last time out, and Pyfer's 6'2" with a big reach on him, so I feel like he'll deal with a lot of those same struggles. But if it's sea level, yeah, I think I'm on Pyfer for sure. Altitude, this one especially because Pyfer's got cardio issues, it really does kind of make you think. So I don't know. I got to figure out something to do with that, anyways. But we can move on.
Yeah, and it's like Pyfer over the course of like, Rodriguez was able to put up 127 significant strikes
Yeah, because
in
he's
three
small.
rounds. Now, Pyfer did put up 92 in 5 rounds against Hermanson, and in fairness to him, a lot of his other fights, they're done so quickly that we don't really know what type of like rate he has in terms of just striking, but I struggle to see him, especially when you get into round three, if it's like a Kelvin Gastelum style of fight, which is going to be back and forth, volume based decision type of thing.
Live crowd, that's going to help him
I
too.
struggled to see Pyfer keep up on the stats. That's why I said I think it's a better live bet. It's one that I'll be glued to the TV looking for a way to get in on probably on Gastelum in the hopes that Pyfer wears off or something like that. And it saves me from like if he just gets his head knocked off or gets taken down immediately in subs, which we have seen with Kelvin Gastelum. It takes that risk, I suppose, out of the equation. Out of the
Yeah.
equation. A bit of a coward's way out, as they would say. But yeah, I'm just being honest in terms of like how I actually plan to approach this from a betting perspective. Gastelum's going to be the pick for me. It's just I don't know if I'm going to bet him pre-flop at plus 240. We got Raul Rosas taking on Vince Morales. Rosas a minus 400 favorite and climbing. Like it just keeps going. It just keeps going. I'm seeing plus 450s right now. Vince Morales can be at for plus 330 and climbing, obviously. That's plus 350 in some spots now. Morales is coming in on what, like 5 weeks? 5 week turnaround here. We saw him against Elijah Smith 5 weeks ago. At this point, very, very close physical decision loss, a split decision loss, a fight that some people thought went the other way, and I wouldn't have like knocked you if you thought it went the other way, but a very, very physical fight. So I'm kind of surprised that he's coming back in here so quickly. Rosas minus 450 seems. We know Rosas is just like very, very one-dimensional. Striking is not there. Really comes down to the grappling. And I suppose I understand. Elijah Smith took him down or took down Morales 3 times, just like Jonathan Martinez took him down twice. Draco Rodriguez took him down 3 times. Like the path is definitely there. He's not the hardest hitter. I totally see why Raul Rosas is the favorite here. Um, He's the pick. I just don't know how to approach this from a betting perspective. I mean, he'll probably find his way into a parlay or two here, but yeah, I mean that number just keeps getting creamed. It all kind of adds up, but we still do know the limitations of Raul Rosas. The cardio hasn't always been great. Sometimes he doesn't get guys out of there. It's slow pace, particularly in round three. Like you really see it fall off, and then now we put him at altitude. It's a little bit sketchy, but it's the right type of opponent for Raul to absolutely roll through. What's your take here?
Yeah, the UFC's got to be careful with him because on one hand he's not any good, but on the other hand he's very, very good for a 20-year-old. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like if you compare him to other 20-year-old fighters, it's like this guy's the complete package. It's that when he's fighting full-grown men, he leaves a lot to be desired. So they just got to pick those right matchups and slowly build him along. Yeah, he's not from the part of Mexico at high altitude, so it's not like this is something he's going to be used to. And in fact, he goes so hard in there that yeah, oftentimes the third round is his worst round. But I do think it comes down to grappling. Probably gets those takedowns, secures position. But keep it in mind, right? When you're betting him at minus 400, minus 450, his last fight against Richie Lang, he lost the second round on all three judges' scorecards, it getting outstruck. Like he doesn't shoot any takedowns in that second round, and his striking is not good. His fight before that against Ricky Tercios, he lost the first round on two of the three judges' scorecards, getting outstruck by Ricky Tercios. So he gets
Mhm.
outstruck by some of the low-level guys of the division. There's no doubt in my mind that Vince Morales could outstrike him. Now, Vince's problem is he's so damn low volume with his own striking. But when you look at some of these fights from Raul, it's like, well, he landed three strikes against Ricky Tercios halfway through the fight when he caught the submission. Against Christian Rodriguez, he landed two strikes. The fight went the distance. It went 15 minutes. He landed two strikes. Three against Ricky. At least that one was a finish, but it was halfway through the fight. He had landed three. So he's not a high volume guy as well. He wants to shoot these takedowns. When he does, I'll admit he's a fairly strong guy. His technique's not great, but he'll muscle you to the ground. And then he's got a really good back take. That's his best part. He'll just jump to the back. Now you saw him gas against Christian Rodriguez. Win the first round, gas in the second, can't get the takedowns, lose the second, lose the third. That's a scenario that 100% could happen here. But what I keep getting back to is that last fight that Paul mentioned with Elijah Smith versus Vince Morales. So we're all on Elijah Smith. Elijah Smith's 22 years old. He's not very much older than Raul Rosas. He's 2 years older than him. But his dad, Gilbert Smith, was a UFC fighter, was on The Ultimate Fighter. This kid, he was a football player. Like he never got into MMA until COVID. There's no wrestling background, and yet he takes down Vince with a double leg at the end of the first round. The second round, he takes down Vince. He goes to take Vince's back. Vince rolls into him. He tries to step up. Vince snatches onto the anaconda choke. That's what allows Vince to win the second. He gets taken down in that second round. He gives up his back in that second round. It's a small little rookie mistake. In the third round, this thing's 1-1. Who wants it more? Elijah gets the takedown again. So yeah, and Vince is bleeding in that fight. He's swollen and lumped up all over his face. And as Paul mentioned, he's fighting 5 weeks later. So altitude does make me a little bit nervous, I suppose, in this fight. But Raul Rosas is 20 years old. He's starting to gain some experience. His fresh little non-smoker lungs should be good to give me 10 minutes here of take him down and do something with him. But do more than Gunnar Nelson last week. Like, don't give me 9 minutes of top control with nothing happening. You leave it subjective. But Vince kind of is a low output guy himself. The submission attempts he had in his last fight against Elijah Smith, the first submission attempts of his UFC career. Never subbed anybody in the UFC. One knockout win in 10 fights in the UFC. I think he's mostly just a guy to give you tough rounds, test your cardio, but not necessarily test your skill or test your durability. And so Raul should be able to get the job done. I see why money's coming in on him. He's my pick. I got him. But at what point do you start to realize you have a 20-year-old kid in front of a live crowd and he has potentially cardio issues? This crowd gets rabid and they're frothing at the mouth and they want to see a knockout. And are you going to stick to the game plan and constantly shoot, take his back and lock him up? Or are you going to, try to be to their delight and give them a fan appeasing type of performance, which would not be the way to win? I'm not entirely sure, but he is my pick. I just got to hope he does the right thing and that he's in shape.
All right, we got David Martinez taking on Simon Oliveira. Martinez minus 365 favorite. Oliveira can be average plus 290. Your thoughts?
I feel like this David Martinez absolutely wrecks Simon Oliveira. And like, even though it's minus 365, like I feel better about it than I do Raul Rosas and stuff like that. So this David Martinez guy, like to the naked eye, it's like, oh, he's just some 26-year-old Mexican guy coming in. Yeah, he's extremely violent, man. This is his last five fights, right? Francisco Rivera fought in the UFC, fought Uriah Faber in the UFC. He's got a win over Bruce Lee, right? He knocks him out. Arturo Vergara is the Karate Combat champion. He's on a
Yep.
7-fight winning streak in Karate Combat. He knocks him out in the first round. Axel Osuna won his next two fights after this. This Jose Zarauz won his next three fights after that. He knocks them both out in the fourth round. Cardio's not a problem, Paul. And I don't care that they're at altitude. He's icing people in the fourth round and they start to tire and they start to
Yep.
slow down. We see him on the Ultimate Fighter against Xavier Franklin. Xavier Franklin's a pretty solid athlete.
And never been
Short,
knocked out.
short, compact, never been knocked out, and figured to have a wrestling advantage. Because what do we know about Martinez's wrestling? Like really nothing. He showed us all of that in that Franklin fight. Solid ability to stuff the shot, good up against the cage, moves well, cardio you knew was going to be solid, and just lands the heavier shots. Leg kick, leg kick, leg kick, leg kick. Eventually, Franklin's like, man, I can't move no more. I got to make this a dogfight. This guy's just hurting me. You can show me cardio, youth, and only 26 years old, experience, smashing solid South American talent. It's all stuff trending in the right direction. I like it. Simon Oliveira, meanwhile, he's not fought in 2 years. He's 33 years old. He's 0-2 in the UFC. His win on the Contender Series was by contentious split decision in a 50-50 fight.
Hmm.
What can you like about him? His UFC debut against Tony Gravely got taken down 9 times on like 15
11.
attempts. 11 times on 15 attempts. Like he looked like Felipe Dos Santos. Just no takedown defense, tall, upright. Here's the thing though. He's not tall. He's 5'4". So like he's smaller than Martinez. He's got worse striking than knocked out versus Daniel Marcos in his last fight, which is 2 years ago. And on top of that, the first round versus Marcos, nothing really happens. It's somewhat close. I score it for Marcos, but nothing really happened. The second round, he's tired. He's tired. Marcos starts hitting to the body, and this guy absolutely just crumples over. So you give me a guy that hasn't fought in 2 years. He's 33 years old. He's fighting at altitude. He's 0-2 in the UFC. Shouldn't have even got a contract on the Contender Series to begin with. They're parading him out there to get smashed to the local crowd's delight. And Martinez is that guy. I think he's got a solid enough future. I like what he brings to the table. This is the home outing in front of his own people. Cardio's there, power's there. I'm not only does he win, I think he stiffs Oliveira, right? I think he knocks him out probably sometime in the second or the third round. So not one I would want to over bet on to like a over under bet on, but in terms of like which one of these guys aren't 5-1, 6-1, and could potentially ruin my ticket, which one of these guys do I actually like? It's him. It's him. I really like David Martinez. We'll talk about a better value guy later that I also really like, and that them two together should get me to even money. But for Martinez, I feel like yeah, that this number is probably as good as it's gonna get. As fight week rolls on and people realize hometown guy, and as they do more research, I think people are going to jump on board with Martinez probably wins this fight.
Yeah, there was a bit of a market move on Simon Oliveira, and I see a lot of the same things. Like he was up to plus, I guess it didn't move all that much. Martinez was as high as like minus 400 for a bit. He moved back into like minus 360, and then now it's starting to go to like plus minus 365. When I saw it go to the minus 365, I'm like, I don't really understand that, to be perfectly honest. Like I see a lot of the same things as you. And I watched the Marcos fight, or sorry, I watched Martinez, I watched a bunch of tape on him, and then I watched the Marcos fight, and I'm like, this Marcos fight, frankly, isn't that different of a stylistic matchup than what I expect to see from David Martinez. Like they both have similar kind of striking outputs, everything like that. Martinez maybe on that, like maybe on that level. And all I really saw from like Simon Oliveira is like just swinging absolute wild hooks, trying to land and like a spinning back fist, like crazy type of stuff like that. Low probability things that I've seen enough from David Martinez. It's like if he watches any sort of tape, he seems very smart in there, very deliberate and aware of what his opponent's trying to throw back at him. Knows his range and picks it up and figures it out really quickly. It's like he's just got to avoid some sort of, mean KO type of style of finish. And I think, yeah, it'll be David Martinez by KO, probably second or third round, kind of
I,
like what
I
you're saying.
I will say one more thing and we can move on is that a lot of the Mexican guys on the card, like Brandon Moreno and Manuel Torres, and Raul Rosas Jr., Kelvin's Mexican American, like they're from parts of Mexico, right? They train at Entrum in Mexico. Raul Rosas from Tijuana in Mexico. This guy's from Bonebreaker in Mexico City. Like
So he
he
lives
lives and
at altitude.
trains in Mexico City all of the time. Not,
Yeah.
oh, it's fight week, let's go there. Oh, it's 2 weeks out, let's go get acclimated. He's a bone breaker guy, and that's their big advantage is they're known for their durability and their solid cardio. So, we're reading the exact same thing here. I think Martinez goes and puts betting against Brazilians. I never really like it, but this Simon Oliveira is not my kind of Brazilian. Not a great striker, not a great wrestler. Jiu-jitsu, leaves something to be desired. Not great durability or cardio. Like, yeah, he's one of them 18 wins are largely fraudulent, and he's about to get found out here. So We're on the same page at least with that one.
Yes, sir. We got Ronaldo Rodriguez taking on Kevin Borjas. Rodriguez a minus 155 favorite to come back on Borjas plus 135. Who you got?
Yeah, I feel like the judges are going to end up giving it to Ronaldo Rodriguez, but I don't like him, Paul. I
No,
really don't care for the guy. First of all, he fought on the Contender Series way back when. He's just a kid, but he loses to Jerome Rivera, and he did not look good doing it. But beyond that, it's not as if he's got a deep record of talented guys he's beaten on the regional scene. He's a low output flyweight, which you can't have. I mean, he largely stares in front of his opponent and just does the bare minimum. He makes his UFC debut against Dennis Bondar. Bondar wins the first round. Bondar takes him down 3 times at will, out grapples him, overhand right to double leg takedown every single time. And there's nothing he could do about it. The second round, Bondar shoots a lazy takedown, ends up gassing out. He takes over and he's able to get the win for Ronaldo Rodriguez. The second fight against Ode Osborne, the first round, he gets dropped. He's hurt. The second and the third round, they're real close. Really, him getting on top of Ode at the end of the third, that sealed it for him. But I mean, it's a really back and forth close fight. In both of them, he's low output. You watch some of these fights on the regional scene, he's low output. And that flyweight, there's just so much always happening. Kevin Borges is it's not like he's really all that good.
no.
But what you can give him is his UFC debut against Joshua Van. He won the first round on all three judges' scorecards. And then Van is, oh man, his output takes over on a lot of guys round 2 and 3. And this is one of them where it took over rounds 2 or 3. And then his last fight against Alessandro Costa, he started off really good in the first round as well. The second round, unfortunately, he gets clipped a few times. The leg kicks is what really sets that one up, is that he can't physically stand on the leg anymore, and then he just falls over.
And
Costa
Costa
jumps
kicks
on
like
him.
an absolute mule.
Yeah, and then once Costa jumps on him because his legs hurt, he moves right to mount, and then he just unloads on him from mount, and they stop it. I get it. But for the most part, yeah, he's Peruvian, so his cardio should check out at this altitude. Um, Durable enough. I understand he's coming off a loss, but it wasn't like it was really a KO loss. It was more so his leg gave out and then he got mounted and got put in a bad spot. I kind of do feel like maybe he comes out here and just ends up being that stiff, rugged, move forward, outland. Volume wise, he should be a little bit fast, like up ahead on Ronaldo Rodriguez. Skill wise, maybe a little bit less, but if you're just doing more, I think it'll help out. Offensively, taking Josh Van down, it's actually getting really difficult. Alessandro Costa, he's like a fire hydrant, but I think he could mix in some wrestling against Rodriguez. I feel like he could lean on him and try to slow him down. Just keep this thing really close. Maybe it's a split decision. If you're a split decision guy, this one's got split decision written all over it. But because my brain keeps telling me that the local guy is going to be getting the nod more often than not on this card, I feel like you almost got to go Rodriguez. But I'm just going to chalk it up to a dogger pass. Hope I'm wrong about the home cooking and take a Kevin Borges ever slow slightly at the bottom of my tickets this week to hopefully add some value by squeaking it by.
Yeah, like that Ode Osborne fight on UFC Noche. Um, that was such a barn burn. Like it was an absolute barn burner. And there were multiple situations, particularly with the submissions, where it looked like Rodriguez was gonna get got by Ode, who really hasn't shown any sort of like, high-end grappling over the course of his career. So it's kind of a surprise how that played out. Frankly, I thought Ode should have got the decision, but he did not.
I agree.
It's another situation where I think it's dog or pass for me, but probably a pass. Like, I don't feel the need. We're breaking down so many different things this week. I didn't even mention that. There's LFA. There's two BKFC cards this week. There's something called FCR that I've literally never
I'm
heard
not
of
gonna
before,
waste
but
my
there's
time on that.
but
But there's
there's
lots,
odds
yeah.
for it, so I'm gonna look into it. I've already watched tape for WoW 17 from Madrid.
Nice.
And I'm working on the LFA card right now. So it's like Lincoln is in the description for that. You may only see us once, maybe twice a week if you see us for the recaps on the Bookie Beatdown YouTube channel, but the grind never stops. The grind quite literally never stops. We've been having some success over in the regional streets. If you want more from us, link is in the description. If you don't, we'll get right back into the action. We've got Edgar Chairez taking on CJ Vergara, minus 255 for Chairez, plus 215 for Vergara. I took a shot on the dog here code. And why? I'm not the biggest CJ Vergara. I don't think I've ever bet this guy before, to be perfectly honest. But flyweight fight, somewhat competitive. And Chairez doesn't really like the best way to beat Vergara typically comes down to like being able to utilize the wrestling. I know Chairez has some good submission skills, but it's like offensive wrestling. He hasn't landed a takedown in over the course of his UFC career here.
Yeah, neither of them have.
He got
This one's
taken
gonna
down
be on the
twice by
food.
Lacerda, or he got taken down. I mean, there were two fights, but he took the each fight he got taken down by Lacerda, who's not really a wrestler. Josh Van took him down three times. Clayton Carpenter, good wrestler. Tyra took him down twice. Like I get it. He's a good defensive submission. Like so, he's good at like staying out of trouble in terms of submissions when he's on his back. Doesn't really shoot takedowns, doesn't have that much of an offensive thing. And I think what it really comes down to for me is just if this fight goes to decision, and we have seen, Temerov hits like a bus. So yeah, he knocked out Vergara in the first round. The chin has been cracked a few times over the course of his career. Lacerda knocked him down twice, but he still came back to win that fight,
Yeah, that was
as
wild.
Lacerda does. But like what it really comes down to, man, is just volume. You see so many times where Vergara is able to put up 109 against Vinicius Salvador, 93 against Ode Osborne. It's just like if these guys just stand and exchange and it goes 15 minutes, I think I got plus 258. I think it's worth a shot to take a shot on the underdog in that type of situation. I know, hometown crowd, yada yada yada, but yeah, flyweights. Give me the guy with more volume. If someone gets finished, then so be it. If someone gets finished, it's probably Vergara, and I lose my bet. But willing to take the shot at plus 258 for me. But yeah, like plus 250s are out there, I think, right now. So yeah, that's where I'm at on this one. What about you?
Yeah, listen, man, plus money on a flyweight fight, but no, I got Edgar Chairez. I think Chairez beats him up pretty good. One thing you really want to keep on with CJ Vergara is watch the weigh-ins. Like he's missed weight in the UFC 3 times. He missed weight against Ode Osborne, coming in at 127.4 and lost. He lost weight against Tatsuya Taira, coming in at 129 and lost. He came in against Asu Albabayev at 127 and lost. His last fight, he made weight. He got knocked down 3 times and got knocked out. His fight against Daniel Lacerda, he made weight. He got knocked down twice, and it was a wild fight. The one win versus Vinicius Salvador, it looks good because it's at altitude. It's in Utah, right? So at least he's fought kind of at somewhat solid elevation before, and he lands over 100 significant strikes. But it's like a really slow-paced fight for a 100 significant strikes type of performance. Like he's not really doing much. Both of them show 0% takedown accuracy, so neither of them is likely to get the fight to the ground. You got two guys that are going to stand. Vergara at one point used to really crash the pocket and throw a high output, but as of late, he seems to just be hanging out. Now he's 33 years old. He's coming off a pretty solid knockout loss his last fight. Chairez is 29. He's getting better. I think standing, he's got a better jab. Like I don't know. I think like the striking probably is close, but I got one guy that's 4 years younger, that's a lot more durable. Hasn't been knocked down. Very solid. He's got a nasty guillotine choke if Vergara decides to shoot for whatever reason. But beyond that is that we know Vergara can throw up volume because guys have stood with him and allowed him to show you that volume. Chairez don't have that. No one's really stood with him and allowed him to really show you his full arsenal. But Josh Van, his last time out, Van took him down 3 times. But he still lands 79 significant strikes despite getting taken down 3 times. His fight with Tatsuya Taira, he lands 25. He knocks down Tatsuya Taira. Taira has never been knocked down his entire career, other than the one time against Chairez. Chairez gave up 10 minutes of control time, still landed 25 significant strikes. Clayton Carpenter took him down 3 times, controlled him for 6 minutes, still landed 51. So finally, Vergara's probably just going to stand with him. He's trained from Pete Spratt, the Ultimate Fighter veteran, UFC veteran, win over Robbie Lawler back in the day. Pete, the secret weapon Spratt, is his head coach. Straight up, this guy's looking to use his Muay Thai and strike. Why do you think he's got a 0% takedown accuracy? So we got striker versus striker, and I got Chairez, who I think because you're not taking him down, he's going to show you that volume that you have not been seeing. He'll throw up 70, 80, 90, 100 at the very little, at the very least. Anyways, last thing, we're going to sprinkle something out. Okay, we already got the hometown guy. We got 4 years younger. We got probably better output. We got the better fighter, I think. Last thing that we'll throw on there is a little MMA math for you, is that these guys have fought a couple common opponents. When you look at CJ Vergara, he fought Daniel Lacerda. I guess he's got a win over Lacerda, and so does So does Edgar Chairez. But I guess that Tatsuya Taira fight, it's like Taira controlled him for 10 minutes, wasn't able to submit him, was on his back for the vast majority of it. Whereas he fought Vergara, he made him look pretty bad. I feel like when Chairez fought Lacerda, the first time it's a no contest in a fight that he's about to smash Lacerda in. The second time he triangle chokes him and does put him away effortlessly. Whereas Lacerda was ultra competitive against Vergara, knocking him down twice and almost putting him away. Like against the same common opponents, one guy's looked
Yeah.
pretty good in my opinion. The other guy's just looking iffy. And he's 33 now, and that flyweight, it's everything. And I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna fault anybody for chasing some plus money at 125 ever. And Vergara, he's a tough enough guy. And this could be maybe a split type of scenario, but I just feel like Chairez is honestly better and will probably end up getting the win here.
Yeah, I mean, even like the MMA math there, though, it's just like these are stylist like both of the ones that you brought up. It's just like, well, those are kind of situations that if it turns into a 15-minute stand-up affair, those types of scenarios likely wouldn't present themselves because they all kind of came down to the grappling. So,
How many guys have missed weight 3 times in the UFC and haven't been forced
oh,
up a weight class? And he's 0 for 3 when missing weight. So at the very least, watch the weigh-ins. And if he comes in a pound or two over, it's a bad look because now he's fighting a mile high in the air. And it's gonna, what do you gotta do? You gotta push a pace. Shards is gonna push a pace. I can't 100% say that Vergara is gonna match it,
yeah, I mean, if he
especially with a
loses,
bad weight
if
cut.
he loses, I lose half of a
Oh
unit,
yeah,
and
it's
then I
not.
go, oh
Yeah,
no,
right.
what am I gonna do? I've got like 39 different fights because we bet all these regional things to bet over the course of the week. Like, I'll survive. Next up, this is a hot topic this week, Cody. Ateba Gautier takes on Jose Medina minus 425 for Ateba plus 325 for Medina.
Funky Co Medina.
I think it's a murder scene, Cody.
Do you?
Murder scene.
Okay. Okay.
Absolute murder scene. I know it was very popular this week. And the market reacted a bit, you know. Tebow was opened at like minus 550, went down to 600, shot up to like minus 400. Now it's starting to settle more in the minus 400-ish range. Um, and again, all of the narratives of, oh, it's at altitude. Jose Medina, very, very durable. Can Atiba go the distance with this guy? Yada, yada, yada. I mean, here's where I kind of lie on this. I think Medina's the worst guy on the roster.
Yeah,
And I think
100%.
Gautier is the best raw talent. He's a bit raw. I mean, bit raw, like very raw. Best raw talent I saw in Contender Series last year. Because like he's 22 years old. Kind of reminds me of like middleweight Ngannou, to be perfectly honest. Doesn't necessarily look all that technical. Sometimes it's like he's winging shots, but like boy, when he hits you, you feel it. And I think that time, it was like that was back in September when he was on Contender Series. Since then, I've been creeping around his Instagram, doing my due diligence and stuff like that. He's been in Dubai for a while now, and it seems like he's doing some like very extensive like endurance training and stuff with some specialists down there for quite a long time. So they're working on what could be his biggest hole in his game, which would be his cardio and stuff. And then the last few weeks, he's been at Team Noguera in Dubai with Puya Ramani, who,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
if you don't know him, you're gonna know him by the end of the summer because
So
that
jacked.
dude is going to run through the PFL heavyweight tournament. Like, if you watch the tape on that guy from like his fights on ACA and I see some of his grappling matches
His
against
grappling
like
matches.
top
Yeah.
end
Yeah.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioners. And then this guy's like an Olympian level Iranian wrestler. So it's like he's been training with that guy for the last like at least 3 weeks to a month. Um, I think Gauthier is going to knock Medina, which isn't crazy because like the market actually is he's still minus 165 to get the knockout, but it's like I think it's one of those things. This is kind of like a Chris Moutinho situation where everyone's going to go altitude. They're factoring in all of these things. And, Medina's so durable. Oh, he went the distance with Zach Reese, and he gets absolutely flatlined by an absolute specimen in Gautier. I think Gautier kills him this week. What about you?
Yeah, to be honest, like I agree with what you're saying. He's a physical specimen. He just seems so raw for me. Like yeah, he knocks out that Euro NATO on the Contender Series, but Paul, he didn't look that good outside of the first 90 seconds. What a unit this guy is. And then he gets taken down by like a undersized Japanese judoka, trips him up, and spends 3.5 minutes on top of him. He's so square on the back. His ground game's non-existent. He's been fighting pro for 3 years. In fact, he lost to a guy named Glenn Williams in 2022 by split decision in a fight that he probably gassed. I think he gassed a little bit in it, but that's 2022. It wasn't even 3 years ago. He has no experience. A lot of the promotions he was fighting for, this Fight KLB Series 1, it's flagged on Tapology as not match fixing, but like mismatches. He's not fought anybody. 2-23, 0-1, 1-0, 17-13. Boom, on the Contender Series. And it's an absolute nobody, undersized Japanese guy that took him down in the first round and spent 3.5 minutes on top of him. And the second round gasses out. So this is like that Musasa guy. Like he's a physical specimen. He probably could be good given the right guidance, but he's not good right now. Other than that guy's one hell of a unit. No real technique, no real experience, one hell of a unit. Now, what gym does he train at? You're right, he's in Dubai with Team Nogueira, training it with like 6 people, a couple teenagers in Dubai. Where's his wrestling at? Where's his high level striking at? Is he a jiu-jitsu guy? I could tell you from his Contender Series, he's not a jiu-jitsu guy at all. He's just a really strong Remy Thero Sokuju level prime athlete. If he touches you, it's not going to be a good time. But I just don't really see any depth to him. Now you're right. The UFC signs this guy. UFC Dana says, "Well, I want him. I want him because long-term potential. This guy could be Francis Ngannou. He's 6'4" with an 81-inch reach. Put him in the right hands. Absolute problem for a lot of people. But he's kind of at the stage of his career right now where he's like super underdeveloped, and they signed him. So now they need to give him a fight and they get who's the worst guy on the roster. Paul already said it. Medina. And I agree. It's Medina. But Medina's problem so far has been guys taking him down. That's his problem. On the Contender Series against that fake Russian guy, he gets taken down, 3, 4, 5 times. They sign him. Why? Against Magomed Gadziyarazul. He lost his OV after his last fight, so you can't give him that no more. But yeah, bum Russian guy takes him down a bunch of times. They sign him because he's got heart. They takes on Zach Reese. Well, Zach Reese is also 6'4", and he's a pretty big athletic guy, 5 inch shorter reach, 4 inch shorter in the reach department than his opponent here. But again, it's a big, strong guy, and like he's moving forward the whole time. He's throwing. Like I'll admit, he's from what? He's from Bolivia, right? There's not a really big scene down there, and I don't know how good overall, what kind of level of training he's getting. But he seems like he's durable. It seems like his cardio are pretty good. That's like the only good things about him. If this fight takes place in Vegas, yeah, he's probably not winning. This takes place, at anywhere of sea level, probably not getting the job done. At altitude, it's really the only thing that he can do, which is Homer Simpson his way to a potential win. It's now on the table. The other thing is, we all know how incredibly bad he is on the ground. This fight may not hit the ground. So I honestly don't like him. You're sounding very confident. I get that. Look, if your guy don't absolutely dead Jose Medina right off the get-go, it's gonna get greasy. And for the record, Jose Medina never been knocked out. The only good thing about him is he can take one hell of a punch. So when you got that much muscle, go ahead. Go ahead. Go to a mile high in the air and swing for the fences. See how that one goes for you. I've seen this one happen before. So I'm actually gonna dog or pass this one. I think I put Medina on my PRP right at the bottom because I ain't got no faith in it, man. But I honestly don't want to jump into the Ateba Gautier bandwagon where he shows you absolutely nothing other than the death touch. Like he's a middleweight Yarazino Rosenstruck is actually what he is. Tell me I'm wrong. Rosenstruck's actually got better technique than this guy, but they hit hard and they have no ground game. least Rosenstruck got experience and fought the best guys. Ateba's just not there yet. Now, if we're playing Madden, we're playing UFC video game, and I can get a first round draft pick, yeah, I'm probably drafting this kid too. But similar to Raul Rosa or Chase Hooper, like there's a learning curve. You're not going to just catch it right off the get-go. You're probably going to have to lose a couple to figure out what you did wrong. And the fact that you can lose to a guy like Glenn Williams a few years ago, like it's on the table that you could lose to a lot of guys in the division. And I'm not saying Jose Medina ain't one of them. So dogger pass for me, Paul.
4-1 Chewy bet.
4-1 shoey bet. I'm in.
I'm
I'm in
giving
for
you
sure to
value.
win
So
shoey bet.
four to
Yeah,
one
yeah.
Chewy bet. Lock it in.
Would
It's
you like, would you
I
like
had to
to take
murder like he's gonna murder him. It's
Would
not
you
even gonna
like
be
to take a
close.
4-1 shoey bet? And I will give you a 3-1 shoey bet, Chairez Vergara. So if Vergara wins, I'll take three, right? If Jose Medina wins, you take four. If Edgar Chairez wins and Jose Medina win, you are screwed.
Well, screwed is
Well,
a
you got seven shoeys in an hour
stretch.
long show, 90-minute show.
Yeah.
Heavy
Maybe
duty.
we'll do those on the recap shows on the
Yeah, well, or the regional shows when there's not much going on.
So wait, let me write this down so I don't forget. So we have Vergara, you're giving me 3-1 on Vergara. So it'd
What's the
be
line right now?
there's plus two 250 maybe around there.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta give you 3-1 for that. That's the fair thing to do.
I think the best I see on Mark is plus 238. That's fair because I'm giving you points too on the other one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%.
All
It goes
right.
both ways.
So I'm just writing it down because I will forget. Actually, I'll write it down on this sheet right here, right next to my where my bets made sheet here. So we've got Cody. Cody has Chairez with a yeah 3-1, and then 4-1. I've got Gautier. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I will write that down in a second, but I'll tee up the next fight. We got Christian Rodriguez taking on Melk Costa. Rodriguez a minus 161 favorite. Costa could be had for plus 141. Who you got here?
This is a trap or what? Why is Christian Rodriguez only minus 160? I'm scratching my head on this one. Think he wins? He's my pick. Is this the kind of thing I put on my top ticket and then highly regret it come Saturday night? Like I don't know. I can't quite figure it out, but I guess we'll jump in with Mel Costa first of all. There's nothing about his game that's like intangibly all that good. Like you could say he's a high volume striker, but he only ever really did it in the one fight against Austin Lingo. You can't really say he's a volume puncher or like a power puncher as well. He's mostly just, tick tat, likes to kick the legs, likes to kick the bodies, rangy enough with his striking, but I don't think he's an elite level striker, and I certainly don't think he's got a ton of power. Cardio, I can't say it's bad. Again, he does push a certain type of pace and is consistently able to push it through 3 rounds. But at the same time, I wouldn't put it past him that he's going to start to slow down and start to fatigue if you can really put this grind on him. His problem is that the striking's not elite and his takedown defense is really not all that good. So you see him against Thiago Moises. Moises takes him down 4 times. Moises got good jiu-jitsu, not a really good wrestler, but hey, that's a short nose debut up a weight class. You give him a pass. Steve Garcia knocks him out. Steve's been doing that to a lot of guys lately. The Shailin Nurmiyaki fight. There's argument that he loses the first, at least half the fight, definitely loses the first 3 minutes of the second, makes it happen late, ends up getting a rear naked choke, but takedown defense is lackluster, no real power. I don't really care for him. I don't really care for his overall game. There's been some of these fights, like the Steve Garcia fight, the whole first round, he tries to just hold Steve up against the cage and then gasses out doing it, gets KO'd in the second. I think he said afterwards he was sick, and it's possible because it's a weird ass game plan, but not someone I'm looking to trust, not someone I think really has high level experience. Then you look at his last fight versus Andre Fili. By the numbers, he almost tripled up Fili on the significant strike numbers. But watching it, Fili's landing punches to the face, and this guy's mostly just little chopping little leg kicks. Little leg kick, little leg kick, little leg kick. Fili's finally had enough, shoots a blast double, gets it like nothing. Same way Nurmiyaki got the takedown. Same way Thiago Moises got the takedown. His takedown defense is not all that good. And then, yeah, kudos to him. It's an arm in guillotine choke from half guard, and he finishes it. So Christian Rodriguez has one loss in the UFC. Sorry, he's got two losses in the UFC, but the most recent one, I suppose, he gets caught in a Julian Erosa guillotine choke. I wouldn't put it past something like that happening, but it would be considered a low percentage outcome that you're going to just snatch him up with that one specific submission attempt. More than likely, what you have in Christian Rodriguez is someone that we've broken down guys like him on the card so far, is that they always want to take him down. Christian Rodriguez, they're always trying to take him down. His fight with Raul Rosas, he gets taken down 3 times. Jonathan Pierce, 6 times. Isaac Dalgarian, 7 times. Austin Bashi, 3 times. You want to know the crazy thing? He won 4 of those 5 fights. This loss to Jonathan Pierce is short notice, up a weight class. He almost deads him in the second and the third. Raul Rosa, he loses the first round. Rosa gasses. Rodriguez takes over. Cameron Saimon fight. Cameron Saimon didn't try to take him down. As a result, he beat him up. Bulgarian, not that he gassed, but 7 takedowns he gets. And then once he starts to slow down, Rodriguez takes back over. The point is that the Jonathan Pierce fight, he almost won because he did not slow down. The Raul Rosas fight, he won because he did not slow down. Bulgarian, same thing. Bashi, same thing. So putting him at altitude, that works for me, man. His really the best thing to his game is his cardio. And so put him somewhere where you can really push both guys' gas tanks and show me what this kid's really made of. I think Melk will start to slow down. I think Rodriguez takes over. Rodriguez is landing volume, but it's low volume because he's giving up 6 or 7 takedowns. If Melk's not taking him down, then you're going to see a fine performance out of him. Rufus Sport guy, trains with Anthony Pettis, trains with Sergio, trains with Duke, trains with all the boys, has trains with Bilal Muhammad, has trained with really, really good cast of guys over there in Milwaukee. He's more than ready. He's the prospect killer. Mel Costa's really not even a prospect. I think he goes out there and he gets the job done. Beyond that as well, you watch that Bashi fight and the Cameron Saimon fight and the Raul Rosas fight. He takes all of them down, right? That's something we're not even really considering is that Milk's takedown defense ain't good. Christian Rodriguez can beat him straight up standing.
Hmm.
I have faith in that. And he can keep the striking close and mix in those takedowns. He's going to have a good game plan. He's physically in wicked good shape. He doesn't have to cut because he's at 45 now, right? He doesn't have to cut down at 35. I really feel like 27 years old, he's coming into his own, and I feel like this is a good spot for him. Minus 160 on the money line. Psh, sign me up for that. I'd love to put it on the top ticket because I'm chasing some value. At worst, he ends up on the top two. But he's someone that I'm going to need him to win this week for it to be profitable on a parlay standpoint. And I just feel like Christian Rodriguez should be able to go get the W for me and make that happen.
No shoey bets to be had here. I agree with you. It does seem a little bit shorter than I expected. I guess it's coming off of yeah, that Feely loss was pretty painful because it really did feel like as a Feely bet loser myself, it really did feel like Feely got the takedown, top position. It's just like all right, like it wasn't the greatest beginning to this fight, but like we may be able to steal it here. It's just like oh God. Why are you not fighting the hands? Oh God, why are you just letting that happen? And
Yeah, that was rough.
yeah, it's just like, well, I don't know what to say anymore.
Mm.
Um, this is what it is. I mean, it's gambling. But yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Rodriguez is the side here. Being able to take down Bashi twice. Bashi is like a very, very solid wrestler. Sometimes the wrestling's a little bit back and forth with him, but he spent time on the bottom with so many really, really solid grapplers. It's like famous last words. I don't think what happened to Feely is going to happen here to Rodriguez.
Famous last word.
But yeah, it's just like don't fall for the trap. He's shown enough to me that it's like he gets out of these types of submission attempts and that type of thing. But it's like yeah, I think he can mix in takedowns, hold top position. They're basically the same size, same reach, same like everything kind of checks out. So I'm with you. Christian Rodriguez side for me. We got Loopy Godinez taking on Julia Polastri minus 224 for Godinez, plus 189 for Polastri. Who you got?
It's okay to just cancel a fight every now and again. This fight starts out as Yasmin Yerigui versus Dion Barbosa. Then Barbosa pulls out, so they book Yasmin Yerigui versus Julia Polastri. Then Yasmin Yerigui pulls out, and now it's Julia Polastri versus Lupita Godinez. Like this is not how it started out at all, and it's what ended up with. So, I mean, listen, it's going to be a scrappy fight, no doubt. I got Lupita Godinez probably edging out, probably what is a close-ish decision. With Polastri, she's not like super physical. Like you saw in the Contender Series, she got taken down 4 times by Jasmine Jasudavicius. Beyond that, she comes to the UFC. And it's I would say most notably her fight with Josephine Knudsen. She gets 3 takedowns, but she really just can't muscle around Knudsen, who's putting up the heavy volume on her. And then her fight with Corey McKenna, she was largely able to keep McKenna from taking her down, but she spent 5 minutes with her back up against the cage. In the third round of what's a close enough fight, she gets taken down in the third round, and that's really what loses it for. By the numbers, she doubles up Corey McKenna, but she just can't get her back up off the cage. Against Knudsen, she can't hold her down. Knudsen just breaks away and starts landing high volume on her, especially in the clinch. Jasmine Jasudavicius just bullies her around. So she wants to strike, and her striking, it's, I wouldn't say mediocre, but it's kind of just mid-range. Like there's no big power, there's no big speed, there's no big combinations. She throws 2 at a time and throws a kick at the end of it. With Lupita Godinez, she's technically taking this on short notice. They both are, but maybe Lupita's maybe a little more short notice. Her last time out against Dern, I thought she looked like she was tired in that one. So at altitude at short notice, I don't love. But she's been spending a lot of time in Mexico with Alexa Grasso over the last couple of years. So it's familiar setting for her. She is Mexican Canadian, so I mean she's gonna have some fans behind her and some local support, I would imagine. And then watching the tape on, it's like what Lupita does pretty decent is that she mixes in takedowns into her own striking. She got a better jab than Polastri. She throws a little more volume than Polastri, but she's got a decent double leg takedown on her. And you watch that Mackenzie Dern fight her last time out, she loses, sure. She takes Dern down twice. The one time fends off an armbar, the second time just sets up in guard until the end of the round. But she's not afraid with going to the ground with someone like Dern, and she's able to get takedowns on her. I see no reason why she can't keep the striking competitive with Polastri, mix in takedowns, edge her out in those departments, win this fight. So I got Loopy, but it's women's MMA, so expect the unexpected, I guess.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add there. And here's the problem is that I really actually have no intention to bet this fight whatsoever. I
I
mean,
wouldn't blame you.
the over 2.5 is minus 575. Like it's super gassed, and it probably should be. It's just like I expect these two to go, the full 15 minutes, but crazy things happen in MMA all the time. And then with Godinez, it's like laying chalk with her. It's just like it just always comes with a risk. It's like the fight against Angela Hill was a real, and she fights so often that it's like we kind of know a lot about her for a fighter that's only been around since 2021, but she's got so many fights. So, good on her for staying active, staying busy, but most of these fights play out very, very closely. And that Hill fight from 2020, August 2022 was like a classic example of like you should have a grappling, like you should have at least a offensive wrestling advantage here. And I guess she went one of three. So Angela Hill shot more takedowns on her over the course of 15 minutes, by quite a bit. They just basically had a striking affair, and she lost a close decision to Angela Hill. It's just like she didn't really fight with the greatest game plan there. I'm not gonna kill her for, losing to Verna, who is just an absolute beast once she gets you to the mat, holds you in position, everything like that.
Beast.
I'm not gonna beat you down for something like that. These are, women at the top of the division. And then Mackenzie Dern at this form of her career right now is in her best form. So I'm not even gonna kill her for that. Being able to go the full 15 minutes against Dern, fight out of submission attempts and all of that type of stuff. And do the same thing against Verna. It's like these are all good things. My problem with, backing Loopy for like a significant amount of money is that I just don't know if she's going to take the road least traveled in any of her fights. So
Question will make you.
I don't want to be killing myself. This is your classic Paul Shag. Interested to see what fight ends in split. It's probably so caked that it's probably so chalked, so caked that it's not even worth it. But fight ends in split decision. Considering it's like my almost minus 600 to the over 2.5. Can't imagine it'll be very generous, but yeah, Godinez is the pick for me. But yeah, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Um, Cody, People's Main Event up next. We got Rafa Garcia taking on the man, the myth, the legend, Vince from Hell Pichel. Maybe the last time we ever have a Pichel fight. Minus five
42.
minus 500 for Rafa Garcia. Pichel can be out for plus 375. I think it was like over a week ago in the Discord with the boys after one of the events. I saw this line drop. I think it opened at like 285 and then it moved to 375 and I was just like, "You know what? Not gonna have too many opportunities to back my guy." He's 42 years old. The one thing I know with Vince Pichel is he's gonna fight with my money. That guy's not never
It's
going to
fair.
quit on a fight in the octagon. So yeah, I put a unit on him at plus 375. Probably a little bit more aggressive than I should have, but I'm a loyal guy. Friendship bet, Vince Pichel. I don't care about, the ins and outs of the fight and what Rafa can do and can't do. It's just like, so let's turn this into a dog fight. I know Vince is never going to back down from it. Is he old? Yes, but this number's kind of nuts in my opinion. So Pichel, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I can't quite get there, but you are the Pichel Whisperer. You've had a long tenured
Yeah, I
storied
lost the
career with
last
him.
one though, so it's gone.
One, but he's had 13 fights in the UFC. You have a 12-1 record with him, so that's pretty
Yeah, and
impressive.
I faded him against Gregor Gillespie.
Yeah, that's about being the Whisperer. Is you're not just spam betting them all the time. Is you're betting
Gregor
them
was
when
so
they
good.
win, and you bet them against them when they lose. Sorry, he's had 11 fights in the UFC. So Paul's got a 10-1 record on Vince Pichel. I'll admit, when you look at minus 500, it's like, oh, this should be a walk in the park. And then really, it isn't when you're looking at Rafa Garcia. Paul and I used to have a joke. You don't let friends bet on people who have lost to Chris Kreutzmacher, and this guy has. In fact, his wins are Natan Levy, who I don't think Natan Levy's cut as much as like he just really isn't fighting at all. He's had one fight in the last 3 years. But Jesse Robinson's cut, went 0-5 in the UFC. Mahashat's cut, Clay Guida's cut. Like, those are his wins. So he's not really beaten like high quality guys. His losses are usually maybe when those are slight step ups, but he got absolutely destroyed on the ground by Grant Dawson. Sure, it's Dawson, but ground game might be open there to take advantage of. Jakar Close's other loss prior to that. Again, a fight where Jakar Close is able to implement some of that grind. Vince Michel's really got no X factor to him other than he's really physically strong and he's going to fight to the best of his abilities the entire time. He's had a lot of injuries, torn biceps, he's had a lot of ligaments put back together. Doesn't really fight as much as you'd like him to fight. He's had, 11 fights in 11 years. He's not the most active guy going, but it's kind of just like that one time a year. Vince Pichel comes out of the shadows, says, honey, watch the kids this weekend. I'm going to get some pent out frustration out. And he gives you a hell of an effort. At altitude, the way this guy just kind of never says die, like he'll be able to push through. Rafa, he's Mexican, but he's not this type of altitude Mexican. He's not a cardio machine for the most part. He's looked good against Clay Guida, but there's another guy that was into his 40s. I feel like I do have Rafa Garcia, but again, you would expect him to be on the top two lines, and I think I got to shuffle him down a little bit, even though he's a big favorite. I don't feel great about a lot of the underdogs on this card, as you can see. Got mostly favorites, a couple underdogs sprinkled in here and there, but I just feel like the money lines are pretty accurate for the most of the guys on the card.
You're taking Rafa Garcia minus 500.
I'm taking Rafa.
You traitor. You traitor.
You call me
Uh,
a coward, but I also got Medina, so it's like I'm not afraid of a good time, but in this
no, I
case,
didn't call you a coward. I called you a traitor.
yeah, yeah.
I called you a traitor. All right, we got Jamall Emmers taking on Gabriel Miranda. Minus 312 for Emmers, plus 262 for Miranda. Who you got here?
So like Jamal Emmers should absolutely wreck him. Should wreck him.
Hmm
But man, there's like a sinking feeling in the bottom of my stomach that Jamal's got one of these guys that finds a way to blow it for himself. Like whether it be the Pat Sabatini fight where he's smoking him on the feet, falls him to the ground and gets heel hooked. Or his last fight with Nate Landwehr, like fighting well, and then as soon as Landwehr steps in that pocket, short little right hand just loses equilibrium altogether. His fight with Giga Chikadze, he lost a split decision. Why are you not trying to take down Giga Chikadze? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? In the third round, he shot, but it was goddamn too late, Paul. Yes, I lost money on that one. Emmers is like Loopy to Godinez. There's a skill there, and then there's a just no desire to use the skill to the best of its ability. So when I look at this fight against Gabriel Miranda, Emmers wrestled back in college. He's a better wrestler. So Miranda is a guard puller. You watch his last fight, he's actively trying to pull guard. It's 2025. He can't be doing that. So he offensively not likely going to take Emmers down in the open field. Physically, I don't think he's strong enough to push Emmers up against the cage. If they stay standing, Emmers is going to knock him out. Like, he's got power. Yeah, Nate knocked him out his last time out. Nate is split open, man. He's bleeding all over the place. And prior to that, he knocked out Dennis Bazookia, which is no easy task. So like Emers definitely does have a power advantage, a striking advantage, a wrestling advantage.
Maybe even a grappling advantage. I see him out there
Grappling
on
advantage.
the gram doing like grappling seminars and stuff like that. I know he got subbed by Pat Sabatini, but
Oh,
Sabatini
Pat
is an
Sabatini's
absolute
really good.
stud.
Yeah,
An
yeah.
absolute
Pat's really
stud.
good. And then
Um,
I thought the same thing. It's like, well, maybe even his durability an issue. Like earlier on in his career, Thiago Moises knocks him out, or Julian Erosa knocks him out. It's like, yeah, it's two knockout losses in the last 9 years. He's not been knocked out 3 times in 9 years, all by good guys. Ray Trujillo, last guy to sub him outside of um, Pat Sabatini. And again, it's like the fight takes place 9 years ago. So yeah, he's got experience. He's tenured. He's fought in some good level of guys. When I look at Gabriel Miranda versus Benoit Saint Denis, it's like everything Saint Denis lands just folds him. He gets up twice. Third time, not so much. And then his last time out, it's kind of the same thing. I thought he looked decent in that first round against Morgan Charrier. He shoots a takedown. He almost takes his back. The second round, it's like he's not there no more. He's 35. They're both 35. But Emers can fight 15 minutes. Emers a better athlete. He's faster. Quite literally, if you ticking off the box, who's faster? Emers. Who's got better wrestling? Emers. Who's got better striking? Emers. Who's got more power? Emers. Who's fought the better level of opposition? Emers. So how does Emers lose this fight? It's going to be a sneaky little two things. Either one, Miranda just swings. He's not a good
mhm.
striker, but he swings. And Emers, that Nate Landwehr fight, Nate does the same thing. He's slower. He's finding trouble getting the bid on. His face is busted open. He's bleeding. He throws a short shot, and all of a sudden, Emers has got no legs beneath him. And then against Charrier, he did get a takedown. He almost took the back. If he can get to Emers's back early, he could submit him. If he can
Yeah.
just throw some wild technique and clip him, he can knock him out. Barring one of those two things happening in the first round, he's going to slow down. He's going to slow down fast, and Emers is just going to take him out of there. So 235-year-old second fight on the card, altitude, not having the best luck lately for the two of them. It's like, yeah, it's greasy. For sure it's greasy. But I got Jamall Emmers to win this thing.
Same. Finally, we've got Markel Medeiros taking on Austin Hubbard. Medeiros minus 185 favorite. Hubbard can be had for plus 160. Your thoughts?
Just gonna bite the bullet and take Austin Hubbard. Total dog to
Yeah.
pass. Don't,
Love it.
yeah, yeah. Listen, like Markel Medeiros, it's not that he's not good, but he's got like no experience. I mean, he's 28 years old, but he didn't wrestle in high school, comes from no combat sports background, decides, you know what, I'm gonna try this, comes into the gym a little bit late. As an amateur, he's 5-3 as an amateur. As a pro, he's been fighting pro for 3 years. Like, you can watch a lot of these fights and you see that someone that's okay, but very green. Now look at these wins, okay? It's like, oh, he beat Darren Whitney. The guy's 5-0. The guy's 6-6 now.
Yep.
Okay. Well, what about this Tracy Reader? He's 5-1. He's 7-5 now. Oh, well, what about like I think it looks better than it is. Now when I watch him, he's very mature in that he's not rushing anything. Short little steps, decent footwork, natural athlete, trains at altitude because he's at Factory X Muay Thai. So like it shouldn't be, crazy to him. But he's green. He's just very, very green. Now on the Ultimate Fighter Contender Series against Isa Isakov. Isa Isakov's a bit of a weird one. Technically, he's from Dagestan slash Chechnya. Mom's from Dagestan, dad's from Chechnya. But he left real early and went to Belgium. And he lives in Belgium and Luxembourg. Speaks French. He goes 0 for 8 on takedowns Medeiros, which is impressive enough. But his ability to hold Medeiros up against the cage, his ability to get to the takedown, his ability to lean on him. Like Medeiros knocks him out in the first round, but it was like, yeah, I think someone that can stick to that game plan for a prolonged period can lean on him. Then his fight with Landon Quinones, I thought he looked tired. I thought he looked a little bit slower than he did in the Contender Series.
Low volume.
And he's low volume. He lands 60 significant strikes. Like Hubbard's not that good. But Hubbard's got one thing going for him. He too trains at altitude. And the guy is a poor man's Christian Rodriguez. Look at these wins he's got, Paul. Look at these wins he's got. He loses to Mark Madsen, where he outstruck Mark Madsen like 45 to 18. Madsen took him down like 8 times. The fight ends. Madsen's huffing and puffing. Hubbard looks absolutely fine, putting it on him, but they didn't
Mhm.
score it for him. But then he goes and he beats Max Roshkov from doing nothing else other than Roshkov tires out and doesn't want to fight anymore. He beat Michael Figlak, very close fight, loses the first round all day long. Second round's a lot closer. Third round, he seals the deal and he puts it on Figlak, takes the takedown, 3 minutes of top control, breaks him. His best performances are 100% him outlasting his opponent. He's got twice the amount of pro experience. He's fought in 3 times the level of competition. He's had 10 fights in the UFC against better guys than Medeiros. They're both from Colorado. They both train at altitude. Hubbard's definitely slower. He's a less of an athlete, but he was a lot slower and less of an athlete against Alexander Hernandez. It's his ability to just kind of break on through, get a hold of you, lean on you. He shot a couple really nice takedowns on Hernandez, but Hernandez is another tenured guy that's fought in good guys. He shoots those same takedowns on Markel Medeiros. He's either going to get them or he'll lean on him, make him work, make him carry his weight, push him up against the cage. Get this thing to 1-1. If you can go 1-1 going into the third, money. But it's going to be tough making it 1-1. Probably loses the first, wins the second or third. I'm going to bet him pre-fight flop, but have an eye on the live market as well. Because, like, yeah, Medeiros will be faster than him in the first, will move well. It's the second and the third where it's like, once you get tired, you're not faster than me anymore. We're at the same level. And once we're at the same level, I think Hubbard breaks on through. So it's not the easiest fight in the world, but it's a dog or pass fight for me personally. And Hubbard's the dog, so I'm going to take him.
Yeah, no, it's another fight that I kind of look at it as like a 50-50 fight, and they're giving me
Yes. Yeah.
a 10% edge basically on it. I'm not gonna be shocked if Hubbard loses, but he's one of the guys I've had circled. It was at plus 170, and I've just been like seeing if it wants to pop back the other way. Kind of like the Tybura fight last week, is like it went down to like a pick 'em. And then on fight day, sometimes I just wait for some of these dogs on like fight day because like you see big line moves. And yeah, that's when I was able to scoop up Tybura plus 150 just by being a little bit patient. So the plus 170s were out there for Hubbard, but it's kind of leveled out. We'll see where the market moves over the course of the rest of the week. But I wasn't all that impressed with like a lot of the with Medeiros' speed or anything like that in the Landon Quinones fight. Like Quinones is quite a bit faster than Hubbard, but Quinones was able to take him down. Got like, I guess control time. There's a lot of standing cage control between the two of them. I don't know. All these things kind of just like the way I kind of looked at the fight. I went back, watched some of those legacy fights. I'm like, well, these aren't even like realistic things to watch because like he's fighting, and like or it wasn't, sorry, not legacy. It was like Fury Fighting Championship in Texas. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, these fights really aren't all that relevant to like what he's gonna face in a tenured veteran in Hubbard, who's really not gonna go away. Or at least not that easily. It's like a lot of these fights were like very like absolute squash matches that I imagine he was like at least minus 1,000 or bigger favorite in on the regional scene. Like I guess the Isakov fight is like a somewhat that's probably his best performance all the way around. But yeah, no, it's basically just a fight that I see as a pick 'em fight. Give me Austin Hubbard as well. Plan to bet it, haven't bet it yet. See where the markets go over the course of the week. But we are just about out of time, Cody. Before we go, hit them with the PRP.
So this week it looks like there's a lot of favorites. And man, last week you knew it'd be Dog City, and boy, was it ever. And the week before that it was Dog City as well. In fact, they say something like 13 underdogs have hit within the last 2 weeks. So as I keep this in mind that I don't got that many underdogs, little Gianni the Greek pops up on my shoulder and he's like, "Don't bet against the trend, man." I was like, "Oh man, Gianni always says that." But then another little Gianni the Greek popped up and was like, "Reduce for some regression." And I was like, "Oh, the regression, Paul." I'm going with the regression this week. I think a lot of the favorites hit, but a lot of them are short ordered favorites. So we'll see what happens. At the top, we're going with Brandon Moreno. We're going to go with Drew Dober. He's kind of even money, but he's the favorite. We're going to go with, I can see myself taking Kelvin Gastelum. But I think for the time being, I got Pyfer. Let me see what happens at wins. Raul Rosas, David Martinez, Kevin Borjas is going to be dog number one, although it's pretty short. Edgar Chairez, Jose Medina is going to be bona fide dog number two. Christian Rodriguez, Loopy Godinez, Rafa Garcia, Jamall Emmers, Austin Hubbard, dog number three. So is it possible that it's 10 favorites and 3 underdogs on a 13 fight card? Yeah, certainly possible, especially if Johnny's right. Get a little regression. What's up? No underdogs. But likely there's going to be a few. I'm hoping by a few. There's three, and I got those three. Outside that, Paul, I think you know what to expect as well. Tight fight night card, very well match made,
Hmm.
up in the air, a mile up in the air, more than a mile up in the air. So, yeah, you kind of got to expect the
Expect the
unexpected a little
unexpected.
bit. Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, let's just patch it up with some regional stuff. It's like, well, what do we got? We got an LFA, nice, nice, nice. What else we got? Two BKFCs. It's like, it's gonna be one of those weekends, isn't it? Where just gonna have to put your faith in somebody's hands, somebody's fists, and hope that they do the best. So that's about it, Paul.
No, there's FCR, bro. I've got Wave the Warrior 17 from Madrid.
Some
Lots
boxing as well too. I've
there's
been looking at a
lots
lot
of
of
plays. There's
yeah.
lots of plays this
So
weekend,
let's
bro.
hammer out a time for tomorrow, and it's off to regional breakdowns. And then, of course, we
100.
got the weigh-in show, post weigh-in recap, plus props on Friday, and
Hmm.
then fights are Saturday, recap Sunday. So, Phil, this is the part of the week where it's like busy the whole time.
The grind never stops. Anyway, that is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For producer Jared and Cody Saftik, I'm Paul Shaughnessy saying goodbye and good luck.